Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Casper.
Packers 28, Bears 21. Like I said a little earlier, this is probably I can't remember. Rivalry games, you're a little bit more into it and such, but this one, I don't know if it was just the talk and me getting sucked into all the media talk with the whole Ben Johnson stuff and this, that, and the other. But, man, I was into it. Man, I was so happy yesterday and even yet this morning to see – I'm sorry, I know we've got some, but I'm not calling out you specifically. But there was a lot on social media, the crying of many Bears fans and telling Micah Parsons that he needs to shut his mouth and all that. Maybe you should be looking in the mirror, or maybe you should be looking at your own head coach too and saying that. But cry me a river, as Justin Timberlake once said. But, man, I was into that. I wanted that game so much yesterday. I mean, I want every single game. But, man, I really wanted that game. And I'm glad this rivalry now just seems to be up a little bit more. Rivalries in sports are great. We need rivalries in sports. And when we talk about the longest rivalry in NFL history, Packers-Bears, to see these two at the position that they're currently in, it is good. This is good. Yes, I always loved it when it was comfortable victories and dropping 50 burgers or 40 burgers on Chicago. But this is good. Just to have this kind of an intense rivalry and the game, the way that it went, it almost gave me a heart attack. I thought I was going to lose my voice, hooting and hollering too much in the man cave last night with Hutz and that. But it's good. It's good to have this. It feels like this rivalry is, I know it's only one game, but the intensity that was clearly evident between these two, the icy handshake between LaFleur and Ben Johnson, give me some of that. I would be lying that, I think in a couple weeks here, I'm nervous, but that's because I want that too. As a football fan, I want this rivalry, like that heated, I hate to say this word, but it's kind of that way, hated rivalry between the two. So, boy, but I think, if you're a Packers fan too, you probably wanted a dominating victory. You probably wanted to win by, 3 scores, couple scores and such, but you take the W, and you take the W at home with everything that's kind of on the line, with a huge, tough schedule coming up here too. You had to have that game, and you got it done. You got it done. The defense, the first half of that Packers defense, whew. You want to talk about just shutting everything down? What was the statistic when they were coming out of the half, like the fewest amount of yards that Ben Johnson offense has had in the first half ever since he started calling plays? And you got to tip your cap. Chicago, they adjusted nicely in the second half. They really did. And I hate to say that, but they did. So you got to tip your cap to them. But that first half, what that defense did after a little bit of a slow start from the Packers offense, moving the ball on their first drive, but then the interception. And then I know I'm probably not the only person thinking, I'm like, oh my God, okay, interception, Packers offense, screwing a chance to put up some points early. And then, you get the sack or the penalty, and it's like they're doing this again. They've done it how many times this year where they're stopping themselves on offense. But credit to that Packers defense for keeping Chicago out of the end zone, especially on an interception, keeping them out of the end zone. That defense was balling in the first half, and then Packers offense finally settling in a little bit. Big plays. Good to see Jaden Reed back. Christian Watson is wide receiver number 1. And how about Bo freaking Melton? Okay, I don't care if he's a corner. I don't care if he's a wide receiver. I don't care if he's a kick returner, punt returner, placeholder, clipboard holder. Doesn't matter. The guy deserves to be on this team in any role. Okay, he's kind of, this is not the greatest comparison, but it's like, Okay. Taysom Hill back in the day when he used to be a backup quarterback for Green Bay, and then he goes to the Saints, and he is like this multi-position type of player, and Packers fans were pissed that they couldn't find a role for him and such. It's kind of like Bo Melton here. I mean, for crying out loud, he might be playing quarterback here for a couple snaps or something like that. I don't know. But Bo Melton, dude, fantastic job for that big play there. And Keyshawn Nixon, okay? Keyshawn Nixon, I was upset with you. Okay, I was upset. And it was like a Keyshawn Nixon game yesterday. Like I don't know if this is becoming a thing where it's like boneheaded stuff, stupid penalties, but then seals the game with the pick at the end. I mean, you got the adversity, going through it, staying with it. Hats off to you, man. You were frustrating me for 95% of that game. Okay? You were frustrating me. But thank you for the pick at the end to seal it. Even a pass breakup because since it was fourth down, if you would have just tipped that thing away, tip of the cap, man. For as much as you frustrate me at times with whether it's allowing a pass or stupid penalties here or there, it's just got to give him some acknowledgement for the closing it out. So, and if you went to the game yesterday, I got to know, because watching the game, it sure sounded like the fans at Lambeau Field turned it up. I mean, you could hear it. And, oh, man, I wish I was there. Gosh, I wish I was at that game, because that would have been one of those games when I would have been really into it. Usually when I go to a game at Lambeau, I'm fairly, calm. Yeah, you cheer, you get loud on third down, but that one would have been like, okay, I'm ready to suit up and jump out on that field and play. That's kind of how I felt running, watching the game in the mobile man cave, getting into coach's squat. You know what I mean? You guys know what I mean. Getting out of your chair and you're squatting down like a basketball coach on the sideline because you think you're coaching the game and such. But, man, kudos to Packers fans that were at that game. We could hear you from start to finish. So, if you were there, awesome. Awesome. I wish I was there. Golly, do I wish I was there, because that would have been, I think, an absolutely fun environment to be at. So, we can nitpick every aspect of this game. There was the second half, fourth quarter, the 3-and-out. Packers offense has to do a better job of that, especially with the Packers defense just getting gassed. I mean, you can't have 3-and-outs. They know that. We know that, okay? But after Chicago tied it up yesterday, that Packers offense going out there and responding with a touchdown. I know it's not our game changers yet, but Josh Jacobs, that run on 3rd and 1 when it looked like, I'll tell you, I can't tell you what I said right when that play started, because I'd probably get fired with the word that came out of my mouth, because it sure looked like it was going to be a tackle for a loss. Somehow the man gets through and picks up a huge first down. That's a game-changing play. But the way that offense responded, the way that, and for as much as we hate 3rd and 1s and running out of shotguns, they got it through on that touchdown, on that go-ahead touchdown. But the way the offense responded to go up 28-21, fantastic. And then the other game-changer play, it's getting lost in the shuffle, and it should not get lost in the shuffle. It was a game-changing play, that final drive. JJ, Enoch Barre, that tackle, was it like 3rd and 1 or 3rd and short, whatever it was, for him to make that play to force 4th down, that was huge. And that's what we're talking about when we do our game-changing plays. Game-changer players, game-changer plays. That play it's probably not. It's not going to be a top 10 play. It's not going to be a play that's going to show up in the stat sheets. But it's a play like that's a game changer play. That to me was one of the biggest plays in the entire game. Do not let that play go unnoticed if you are a Packers fan. Okay? The Nixon one, getting a ton of play. Christian Watson for his game, Josh Jacobs, all those were fantastic. But that play by Enagbare to make that tackle on 3rd and shorts was absolutely fantastic. And just throwing this out there, it's not the end of the season. But at this point, going forward, into the future, I would not be opposed if Green Bay somehow found a way, because he's going to be a free agent after this year, to bring back Enagbare and move on from Rashawn Gary. I think JJ, they call him JJ. I think the season that he's having and some of the plays that he has been making is just, I'd rather see 55 back next year. I'd rather see that guy back. That's just my opinion. But I feel like he has been making some big-time plays this year, and that play that he had yesterday was a game-changing play. Fantastic. I mean, you had Carl. The one frustrating thing, too, first of all, what I was going to say about Carl Brooks, that violent, was it DJ Moore on the end around? I got to imagine that his life flashed before his eyes on that play. But it was the one thing Green Bay's defense going forward, too, is going to have to figure out. Is going to have to do a better job at. And again, credit to Chicago for doing this, and Ben Johnson for doing this, too, sticking with that run, except for 4th and 1, but just pounding that ball up the middle. And if we talk about weaknesses or holes in this otherwise great Packers defense, they have got to figure out how to be better at stopping the run up the middle. They have got to figure that out. For the most part, Green Bay did a good job of slowing down that run. Swift, 13 carries for 63 yards. 57 yards for Kyle on 14 carries. 4.8 yards an average, 4.1 yards an average. Chicago, 32 total carries for $138. What also helped, I think, a little bit out of that, though, too, was Green Bay jumping out to that lead. So, stat-wise, box scores, you're probably thinking, well, hey, they, coming off of last week's performance, with DeAndre and Kyle both getting over 100 yards, it's a win. But you look at that one drive towards the end where they just, 17 plays or whatever ridiculous number it was? That's, if there's going to be teams coming up here, they're going to look at it like, okay, that's where we got to attack Green Bay's defense, is up the middle, running the ball up the middle. But hopefully that's something they can figure out going forward. And, not to get too far ahead of myself, but if, you're like Baltimore and that running game and such, but they've been struggling here a little bit, though, too, so who knows. But C-Bomb, we'll save the game changer. We're not to game changer yet. So game changer Tuesday is coming at you tomorrow here and such. But if you had to have a game ball to pass out to anybody, who would it be? Who would you hand out a game ball to? For what it's worth, Matt LaFleur handing out 2 game balls after the game yesterday. One to Christian Watson for his 2 touchdowns, and the other to Keyshawn Nixon for that interception in the end zone yesterday. So, but if there's anybody else you would hand a game ball to, is there anybody else who you'd hand a game ball to? You can let me know. Send those on over. But To Seabaum's point about a game changer, Luke Musgrave's diving attempt at that catch would have changed the entire narrative of that game. I don't believe there was sufficient evidence to overturn that call on the field. That play, Green Bay's drive is sustained and can continue to go down and score. Chicago would not have been able to run the ball like they did the rest of the game after that play had Green Bay even gotten a field goal. I do feel like that's a good one too, though, Seabaum. And just remind me to save that one for tomorrow when we do our high V game changers. But that's a what if. That's a what if they stay with the call on the field, which they initially called was a catch. I feel like that would have changed the momentum. And to me, and this, I might be biased in this thing. I understand that. But I feel like Green Bay goes and keeps that momentum and they score. You just wonder, like, would that game have been a little bit more in control for Green Bay? Maybe not as close as it ended up being. But it was clearly evident in that first half. Outside of the score, Green Bay was dominating. Absolutely dominating. And I just, that kind of changed the flow of it, kind of let the wind out of the sails a little bit. And that, I'll be honest, too, is like that was creeping in my mind a little bit. I'm like, okay, is this going to be one of those Packers games where we're dominating in a lot of facets in the game, right? I mean, we're moving the ball in offense, but we are the offense is what's stopping themselves from punching it in. Defense is playing at another level, but we got to get points. We can't just let them hang around, right? So I was a little bit nervous with that aspect, but I tend to agree with what you're kind of saying there, Seabaum. And I think that's more of a what if, like, what if they stayed with the call, which, again, I know I'm biased in this, probably. I don't know how you overturn that. I don't. I don't know how you overturn that. So that, I think, kind of took a little wind out of the sails. And but yeah, there was I had issues, and I know we're kind of, mindset we're maybe, if you're a Packers fan, you got your beer goggles on and such, but even like a guy like Dan Orlovsky posted about it, those officials were not very good. They weren't on par in last night's game. Let's just call it for what it is. The biggest issue was, and I'm glad Matt LaFleur said this after the game too in his presser, but what is holding? Like that's literally what Matt LaFleur said after the game. He's like, I guess I don't understand what holding is. I think everybody in the world could see that Micah Parsons was getting just mauled. And apparently, too, during one of the timeouts or TV timeouts, Green Bay, the Jumbotron, they were like, there was the one play. And I think everybody knows what we're talking about where, I mean, Micah Parsons was getting like held by the neck, it felt like. And apparently the Jumbotron during that break, slow-mo kept replaying that. And the thing is too, is like, okay, announcers, let's call it. Brady, showcase that. I mean, that was a clear and obvious miss, and there was multiple times on. It's just, come on. What do you got to do? What do you got to do to get some laundry thrown out there? So, yeah, that was frustrating to see. That was really frustrating to see that. But, hey, they battled through. They got through it. And now you continue to stack them. You can't be complacent now after this win. I mean, we got it. These next 4 games, they're going to be tough. You're back in first place. You control your destiny in this whole thing. You cannot be complacent now. You can't afford to with this upcoming schedule. But, man, you look at Green Bay so far, 4-0 in the division. Look at last year. 1 win in the division, and that was thanks to a blocked field goal against Chicago. Every year, that's like the top goal or one of the top goals for every single team. Win your division games. Win your division. Win your division games. And Green Bay has done a complete 180 on that so far compared to last year. Winning division games. 4-0. Got 2 more to go perfect 6-0. But, man, just an absolutely fantastic job for what a lot of people thought was the best division in football at the beginning of the season. And maybe for some, still believe that. It's one of the best. I don't know if I'd say it's the best right now, but it's definitely one of the best. And Green Bay, 4-0. It was just good to get more guys back in the fold yesterday. Quay Walker back. Jaden Reed, Birdman. I loved that they got him. They got him the ball right away, too. I loved that fact. I loved that they were getting him involved early. And he is your Tucker Kraft replacement. For all the talk about, Luke Musgrave and such and him getting more involved in that, Jaden Reed is your Tucker Kraft replacement in terms of the yak, yards after catch. That's where Tucker Kraft was so crucial in that passing game. Having Jaden Reed back for that aspect is going to be huge for this team going forward. And you saw, it felt like, and I'm looking at, some of the numbers here. It felt like, okay, Green Bay's kind of getting their tight ends a little bit more involved in this game. And I'm like, it felt like each of their 3 tight ends that they had playing were a little bit more involved in like Romeo Doubs and such. And you look at it, Luke Musgrave, 4 targets, couple catches, just 22 yards. Again, that number would have been boosted by that one play. But Wiley with that huge catch, 21 yards. Fitzpatrick, couple catches. Romeo Doubs didn't have a single catch, only targeted twice in that game. But utilizing the tight ends a little bit more, along with Jaden Reed in yesterday's game. Number 11 is going to be huge going down the stretch for this team. He does so many things. And you saw a glimpse of that. Yeah, you're looking at the box score. It's like, well, he only had 4 catches for 31 yards. A couple runs for 22 yards. That's where he's going to be so effective. All over the field. But that is your Tucker Kraft replacement, is Jaden Reed. And he adds another dimension to this ball club. And think about it. Yesterday's game was the first time, not counting Bo Melton, but maybe we need to, that all their top wide receivers were suited up and playing in the game together. The first time all season. Because Watson obviously missed the beginning portion of the season. Then Reed got hurt in week 2. But you had Watson, Reed, Romeo, Golden, Wicks, and then you throw in a little Bo Melton into the mixture. First time. So my game balls, I'll go 1 offense and I'll go 1 defense. Offensively, I'm gonna go Josh Jacobs. He didn't get a game ball from before, but I'm gonna go Josh Jacobs. Overall, solid game from him. Huge on that go-ahead drive. We mentioned that 3rd and 1 pickup from him. So I'm going to go Josh Jacobs for my offensive game ball. And I think for my defensive game ball, I'm going to go with JJ. I'm going to go Enoch Barre. I mean, he got the sack, got that huge stop on 3rd and short. So I'm going to go Enoch Barre. I thought he had a very solid game last night. I don't know what the Pro Football Focus grades look like. Again, I don't feel like that's the be-all, tell-all I'm sure they don't have them as great. Who knows? I shouldn't even say that. But I'm going to go with 55. Kind of an underrated, again, game-changing plays from him yesterday. And I wouldn't mind if Green Bay somehow brought him back next year. I think Rashawn Gary won't be back with the team next year. I think they're going to move on from him. They're going to open up about $11 million in cap space because they've got decisions on some of their younger guys who are going to be up for new contracts. That's a Jaden Reed. That is a Tucker Kraft. That is an Enoch Barr if they decide to keep him. Devontae Wyatt, Quay Walker, those guys. Tough decisions. That's why I still feel like this year, too, is incredibly important because you're still getting these guys on, quote, cheaper deals. We got fresh from Green Bay just a few hours ago. Yeah. Feels like less.
Santa was doing a test run.
There you go.
Gave me a ride from Lambeau back here.
Well, we appreciate you hopping out. Wasn't sure if you were going to be able to when I saw you were in Green Bay. But nonetheless, not a bad game to go and cover.
No, not at all. I mean, a pivotal game. Be another one in 2 weeks. But, I mean, this one was what it lived up to, what you're expecting for not only just a, battle for first place, but the NFC rivalry that is the Packers and Bears. And, it was one of I think, a good chapter in that storied rivalry.
So I got to ask you, since you were there, it seemed like it on television. Was that stadium energized?
Yes.
It sounded like it on TV, but sometimes that could be misleading. I mean, but it seemed like the fans were in it from the first defensive snap to begin that game.
That was one of the most energized, stadiums I've been around for a Packers game in quite a while.
Wow,
I think it was really everybody understood the assignment. They knew what was going on, what was up for grabs in this game. I think they were kind of maybe waiting for this Packer-Bears rivalry to have another chapter like this because it's been such a long time before a meaningful game like this had been played between the two. And I think they lived up to that. I think I give a lot of credit to Bill Jartz up there, and he pumps up that. It used to be just straight up. You'd say first. Now he's he's interjecting his personality. He's retired now, so I think now that he's up there doing the PA, they've tasked him with getting that crowd pumped. He does a great job with it. They've overall done a whole bunch of work to get that crowd more enacted in the games. And we've talked about how sometimes you go to a Packer game and it's kind of quiet.
Yeah.
People are kind of a lot of people have been doing this forever and they're stuck.
Yep.
In their way. There's always those stories of people bringing newspapers.
Yep. And
reading the newspaper while they were watching it. There was no one reading newspapers in this game. It was as ruckus. And then as I was leaving, going down to go to the press conference and locker room, you could hear the crowd going, the Bears still, can I say so?
Oh, yeah.
Bears still suck.
Yep.
I suppose you can play the song on the radio. But, the crowd was just chanting. It was like a playoff atmosphere, and it was really fun to see.
What was the in the locker room afterwards and such? Obviously, with the rivalry, we know about with the coaches and such. But, I mean, was that vibe kind of like, they from the players' aspects, too, like they know this rivalry, like – they could kind of feel it too. Was that kind of the vibe that you got a little bit?
I almost feel like there was more of we're not done with business vibe. Like
that's
we still.
Better. I love hearing that.
And I think that was Matt LaFleur because they asked Michael Parsons what he said after the game, and he's like, "Remain humble. Just know that you got another 2 weeks. You're facing this team again, and it's going to be just as important as it was this week." So I think this. I like that. I like them remaining hungry, and they all know. There's more to be had out there. I think that second half, the way that they could have easily lost that game or at least went into overtime, I think that really jazzed up, especially that defense, which takes a lot of pride of trying to keep teams really low in the score. So I think we're going to see another war there at Soldier Field coming up in 2 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, I was hoping, I think everybody was kind of anxious to see how that handshake was going to go at the end, and it was an icy cold one.
Yeah, and I think that's okay. I was okay with it. It wasn't like a attitude handshake. It was just
very
like
Tom Crean-esque whenever the blow-by handshakes he would used to do in college basketball.
And if you're Ben Johnson, I think you have to expect that.
Yeah.
You're the one who kind of opened up the hornet's nest.
Yep.
And kind of called out LaFleur. Not just the Packers, but you called out LaFleur.
Right, yeah.
Like, you're calling out a coach
Yep.
before the season even starts.
Yep.
You got to imagine he's going to come into it a little icy cold when they did that, literally and figuratively. But, yeah, I don't know. That to me was just, that's good.
Yep.
That's what we want to see with this rivalry. It wasn't like a contentious one. No. It wasn't like a dragging of the hand or anything like that.
Right.
So
it wasn't the Jim Schwartz Harbaugh one. Remember
that's
that?
exactly what I think. Like, the first person that came to my head was Jim Schwartz.
Mm-hmm.
Even Harbaugh, obviously, he had his moments too. But Schwartz was the guy who wore his emotions so much on his sleeves when he was the head coach that, that was just hey, we're going to see you in 2 weeks.
Yep.
We'll do it again.
Yep. Exactly. So I don't know, but even before the game and then after last night, I was watching Johnson's presser. I mean, before he was giving Jeff Hafley flowers, afterwards he was giving Jeff Hafley flowers. Never mentioned Matt LaFleur, and I get it. Ben Johnson's an offensive play caller going up against Hafley and that, but it still strikes me a little bit odd that he would constantly mention Jeff Hafley, but not offensively. He would just kind of say, yep, they had some big plays, just kept it very generic.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a little bit of rivalry. I don't, how much of it is actually, you never know. Like,
that's the thing is, like, they never called plays against each other when they were, like, when Ben was in Detroit and such. So, and I think LaFleur even said it in the offseason, they never really had any interaction before.
Right.
So I think it was, and Tom Rinaldi was the guy, the Bears sideline. He said, asked Ben Johnson about it. He said, it was brought up in my interview with the owner, like the importance of this rivalry. So it was kind of mentioned, fresh on his mind, which I'm sure that was the case, but it spiraled out.
I'm sure it's the case it was the same thing with Lovie Smith.
Right, exactly.
I think that's something that, the McCaskies?
Yep.
I think that's something that they value, that rivalry, and they know how much it means to their fan base to beat Green Bay.
Yeah.
So I think I'm sure it's brought up every time, and asking you if you know how storied this rivalry is. Right. And when and I think it's just a you-rah-rah thing. As soon as you get hired, you say that because you want that gets the fans on your side. Right away. It did with Lovey. Yep. And I think Ben Johnson, I mean, both of them have success too. Right. It helps when you win games. You can't call them out and then just don't win games. When you're winning games and having success, it makes a big difference. So I think this team with Ben Johnson, it's a tough. I mean, to watch the Bears in that second half, that I felt it was a snowball rolling downhill. Yeah. Like, it just looked like they had all the momentum. And I don't know how much time we got here, but I want to, with the Ben Johnson, that last call, I almost think he outcoached himself.
Got too cute.
Yeah, they were, you just need, a yard?
A yard.
For a first down.
Yep.
The Packers hadn't stopped the run for even like they were getting 4 or 5 yards a chunk. Yep. Every run. Yep. I think he just thought, let's go for the dagger and go for the touchdown. Tie. It would have tied. It wouldn't have been the dagger, but you know what I mean?
I think he would have went for 2.
Yeah. I just think he was thinking, okay, this is my chance to catch him by surprise. But I will say this. Caleb Williams that was the only real big mistake he made all day. Mm-hmm. But on most of their design passes, they weren't having a whole lot of success. A lot of his success came when he was improvising. Yeah. Some of the biggest plays came when he was improvising, when he was rolling out, finding it. And he made some amazing throws. I'll give him a ton of credit for that. But the Packers defended their design pass plays very, very well the whole game. And if that was your only option, I don't think that was his first option, but that was – I think they just outcoached himself. Right. I think you just go push forward. You have another timeout. Yeah. Like, I don't know why you – try that play in that situation.
Especially since it was, and he acknowledged afterwards, he said it was similar. I think it was almost exact same plays they did against Philly last week, so it was already on film. Yeah. So
I mean, and also 100% credit to Keyshawn Nixon for recognizing the tight end rolling out and rushing from the other side of the field to
Well, and that's where a lot of people said DJ Moore was open, but Nixon was on him and then left that guy because he recognized it. Right. So, I mean, it's easy to look now he's open, but that's the credit to Nixon for recognizing what the play was.
And that's almost, I mean, on a play like that where you see the quarterback fake the handoff and roll, that tight end's going to roll with him almost 100% of the time there. Yep. And, that's you had to have been told in the huddle for the defense, like, you see one of those tight ends break off and not block, you got to get to him. Yep. And that's what they did. And there really didn't seem like there was another option. Unless there was a couple times where Williams looked like he could have ran and would choose to throw. Now, I mean, a lot of people would be like, well, that's what we try to tell quarterbacks. Don't don't run all the time, throw it. But I think there was a couple times in that game where he could have got a first down, and he chose to try to make a pass play on it. Some of them were successful, obviously, but yeah. So I think they just Ben Johnson kind of coached himself there because they were a snowball rolling downhill with that running game.
Yeah.
The middle of the Packers defense could not stop them. Obviously, with the injuries that have come, we saw that.
Yeah.
And they were, it was just pound that second half.
Yeah.
I mean, the time of possession, the Packers dominated it in the first half.
Yeah.
By the second half, the Bears, it was like 10 minutes, they had more possession than the Packers. So,
well, what was it like the first half? At one point, the Packers had more first downs than the Bears had for yards.
Yeah. I mean, Caleb Williams was 0 for his first 6, I think it was, or something like that. So, I mean, there was a chance for the Packers. I thought at the end of the second quarter, honestly, that they had established themselves in control of that game.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where I give the credit to the Bears. They came out in that second half. Packers didn't do anything on that drive, for their first drive.
Mm-hmm.
Bears come out and capitalize, and then all of a sudden, it's a contest. So
yep.
It was a fun game to watch. It was a good battle, back and forth, going down to the last offensive play. It's everything you wanted in a Packer-Bears game.
That's the thing, too. It's like, I was kind of mentioning earlier, it's good to have this. You don't want to be in the losing end if you're a fan, obviously, but the intensity, right? I mean, I was into it last night more than I think I can't remember last time Bears-Packers that I was like that. Like, okay, I'll want this one.
Yeah.
Because we knew it was at stake, and you have two very good teams. I think it's okay to acknowledge, Bears, say what you want about who they beat earlier on. I think we could say they're a good team, right?
Yeah, they hang around, too. They find a way to stay in games, and that's key.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the first couple games of the season, it looked bad.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they've found a way. And that's that's what the Vikings were last year.
Right.
And a couple of years ago, too. They find a way to hang around and win games late, and that's just one of them that they actually were able to pull out. So, yeah, I credit a lot of credit to that Bears. I mean, watching the play calling design by Ben Johnson, it's fun to watch. Both him and LaFleur. It was like some of the different gadgets in the backfield they come up with.
Yep.
And that was a good chess battle. I can say this, too, as we keep, overanalyzing this game, if not, but it's
a victory Monday.
It's a victory Monday, yeah. How key that Josh Jacobs touchdown drive was. Not just obviously it gives you the lead.
Right.
But you gave that defense a much-needed breather. They were on the field a ton in that second half, and you could just see the exhaustion. That's the tough thing. Like catching your breath when it's 10 degrees out.
Yeah.
Not easy to do. Like these guys you could tell it was taking a toll on them, but to get that 10, 15 minutes to regroup and then come back out there for what was the pivotal drive of the game against the Bears there and have enough in the tank to get the stop. That just shows you, it's complimentary football. We've been talking about that all year, and that was key right there at the end of the game.
It was. Man, there's a lot to go through this. I mean, you mentioned that Jaden Reed, him coming back, I think is going to be crucial for this offense.
You saw him first pass play of the game.
Yeah.
Go to Jaden. It's like, okay, he's back involved in this offense.
Like, to me, he is the Tucker Kraft replacement because of the yak, the yards after the catch, over the middle of the field type of thing. That's where I think is the Tucker Kraft replacement. But then, you look at the snap breakdown, almost as even as you can get with those three tight ends. They were using all three of them throughout the game. I think, Fitzpatrick had 57, but everybody else was over 40% of the snaps in that game too.
And if Musgraves would have been able to pull that
now,
pass
was that a catch? Was there enough to overturn the call?
That's what I was questioning. I think as soon as it hit the ground, like you could see it drag on the ground, they were going to just call it a. Mm-hmm. I mean, after the touchdown in the Ravens games was I think we're back to we don't know what a catch is. I don't know what a
catch is. Like, here's my issue with that. If a quarterback can jump over the pile and knows that ball instantly crosses the line, somebody punches out, it's a touchdown.
Once you have possession, it should be
2 feet down, it should be a touchdown.
I mean, you could make the case the touchdown the Packers had last week against the Lions. Would that have been, did he make a football move after?
Right. Oh, the Wicks one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's to me is just like, I don't know.
Why are we making this more difficult?
Right.
That's my, why are we doing this?
I couldn't believe when I saw the Ravens lost that game. I was looking at the score, then came back, and I'm like, they were at the 5-yard line and couldn't find a way to score.
Because that play, I'm like, wait a minute. Remember the Packers-Steelers game? There was a play similar to that.
Yeah.
The Steelers receiver caught it. Then Valentine knocked it out. Granted, he had 4 or 5 steps compared to 2, but still, it's like, if it's 2 feet down in the field of play, why can't it just be that way in the end zone?
Because if you catch it on the sideline and tap your toes,
Yeah.
and you have possession, they're going to call it a touchdown.
Yeah.
But if you're in the middle of the field, tap your toes, show possession, but don't make a football move. Now, I'll give Gene Steratore did a good job of explaining why they didn't call it a catch. I just don't know if somebody I saw somewhere is like, it's like from week to week.
Yeah.
And it's still that way. And I thought we had kind of figured this out because we haven't had too many of these controversies until this last week where I feel like now we have Musgrave. I think it, I thought there was, if you had possession, even if it hit the ground, as long as you
they always say the ball can hit the ground.
Right. As long as you're maintaining the position.
Yeah.
I didn't really see the ball move because we're watching the one in the stadium's giving us what they're seeing. But I could tell you could tell, well, because they started moving them back.
Yeah.
They were still in the commercial, so they started moving the offense. But it's like, I didn't get that one. But they came back and still ended up, they scored a touchdown on that drive, didn't they? Was that the one?
No, that was
then they got the 15-yard sack.
Yep.
Yeah, it was funny because it was like both teams had those challenges.
Yep.
Come back, move the ball back, and then they both ended up taking penalties and just blowing up those drives, and that's why that first quarter was.
Right.
The first quarter flew by for the first 5 minutes. The last 5 minutes took, I feel like, 45 minutes because of the two challenges and just everything. But then the second, it was slow going, but, man, once that game ramped up, it got exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Evan Williams one, too. I mean, was it a pick? Was it regardless, it was probably going to be, I thought, like an interception or incomplete pass probably at that point. So, but, I mean, the other part, too, I love, since you were there, because I was following along a little bit, Micah Parsons, I think there was the one play everybody's like, that's a hold, and there wasn't called. I saw some people saying the Jumbotron was slow-mowing that play.
Oh, yeah. He was, you can see, I don't know if you saw my Twitter, I had the picture of Matt LaFleur.
Oh, yeah.
That's him pointing at the Jumbotron, showing those guys, because it's right around his head.
Yeah.
And that's the one, like, everybody was talking to Parsons about it in the locker room afterwards. And he's angry.
Yeah.
Because he knows he's smaller, and bigger guys get away with that against him. Like wrapping him up high and holding him.
Yeah. So
he didn't even, how many calls has he got this year?
Right.
One or two, maybe at the most. So, and LaFleur, LaFleur's more and more just wears his emotions.
Yeah, because he even said after the game, he's like, I don't know what a holding is anymore.
Right.
And I'm like, he might get a little fine, I think, this week. But
I think the NFL's got some explaining to do officiating-wise this week. Come out and explain why. Because they kind of did that. They used to do that where they would explain their calls.
Yep.
I'd love to see them do that again.
Yep.
Don't just blindly say, well, no. They're very protective of the officials. So
yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to see some explanations on these, why this isn't called and why this is. So.
Right. Yep. We were talking a little bit during the break here too about some of Jordan Love's throws, the teardrop throws. Like you said, it's different, obviously completely different than what we saw from Favre, what we saw from Rodgers and such. I mean, the Bo Melton one, but then there was that one from Jaden Reed where he just like crossed the field almost against the grain too, just teardrops them in.
Yeah.
I mean, seeing it in person and such.
The amount of air that he gets under those passes and just how precise they are. And it gives those receivers a chance to fight for it. I think that's the big thing. It's not there's one spot where they can catch it. It's one spot, but they can also adjust to it.
Yeah.
I was talking like the Romeo Doubs one that he didn't get, but he gave him a chance to try to come back and fight for it. And you're going to draw more penalties that way.
That's true.
You have to fight, come back a little bit. You get those DBs in a bad position there. But I was, overall just, you have Reed come back, pivotal part of the offense. And what can you say about Christian Watson at this point?
He's wide receiver 1, right?
I think so, but I don't think that team thinks that way. Those receivers, I think like a Romeo, I think it was 2 targets probably the whole game.
Yeah, no catches.
But I think he was one of those guys is probably going to have to be the decoy.
Yep.
And I think he was kind of taking that role this game, but who knows, the next game, he could be the guy that's out there, because he has been very clutch this whole year. But back to Christian Watson. When he got that second touchdown, and they said that he got up to 21 miles per hour, I honestly don't think he even kicked it into high gear.
It looked effortless.
Yeah, that was exactly. I'm watching this like, oh, he's going to pull away. And he started pulling away, but you're like, he's not even, like, it doesn't look like he's pumping. And he's like, and I asked him after the game, he's like, have you ever gotten past? And he's like, yeah, I've been at 22. And he's like, I want to get back to 22 miles per hour. And I'm like, He's like, I wasn't quite warmed up as much as I would, which I can understand. Yeah, you forget that it's also like 7 degrees out on the field. So ask anybody to try to sprint as fast as they can in 7-degree weather.
Yep.
It's not probably going to happen, but yeah, he just looks like the complete package now. Mm-hmm. It reminds me a lot of Devontae. We talked about this last week. Like the progression he's making now, and to the point where you hit him on that little pass play over the middle, and it's like, oh, good luck catching him. That was the thing. Like as soon as you saw him catch that ball, it's like
he's gone.
Yeah. There's not many people in the league that can catch Christian Watson.
No.
And for those two defensive backs probably thought, oh, he's got it. We can get to him. There was never in doubt that in my mind once he turned a little bit, he was gone. So you've got that going on. I mean, Jordan Love again. We haven't just talking overall. You made the one boneheaded throw that I'm sure. We were talking off air. It's like I think he probably mid throw thought, oh no.
Yeah.
But it was too late. Mm-hmm. So you had that. But after that, the throws were great. The decision-making, I thought, was great. Mm-hmm. Credit to Josh Jacobs, who grinded out yards. And, again, this line's not where they want it to be.
Right.
But those grind-out yards he got, especially in that last drive.
That third and one where, like I mentioned a couple times, I said a word out loud that I can't say because it looked like he was going to get stuffed.
Yeah.
Somehow he got through for 21 yards.
Right. He just squirts out of there. And that's, again, him rarely does first contact knock him back.
Yep.
So all around, it's a really good team win.
Yep.
And now you just got to take that same mentality into Denver because you're going to be facing another tough team in altitude.
Yep. And I know people aren't like some people are like, okay, is Denver really that good? They're 11-2, and they got a good defense.
Right. Is anybody really that good this year? That's the question. Like, no team to me is that they might have the records.
Yeah,
you go with the Patriots and Broncos, obviously with their big records, but
is there a team that scares you?
There's no team that's unbeatable this year. We've seen that the whole season.
Right.
So I'm not scared. I think Packers can match up with any team, and I think they will with Denver, and I think it's going to be an interesting battle. Denver's defense. Packers defense, Bo Nix, Jordan Love. I mean, that's a pretty big game at this point in the season to have. And let's hope maybe a potential Super Bowl matchup.
Oh, a 32 rematch, huh? Super Bowl 32 rematch. I don't know.
The one that got away.
Yep. But, no, it's, you talk about Jordan Love and that too. I'll even go to that third down play when they got the go-ahead touchdown. They're in shotgun formation, and he's canning it again. You mean, calling it. And obviously there's a lot of people that don't like running out of a shotgun formation and such. But, Brady noted it a lot during the game talking about, okay, Jordan Love's really paying attention to where those safeties are, how deep they are, and that's where he's deciding whether they can run and attack in that. But you see that, and you see that not ever, third and goal, and you run it. It sure seems like maybe he's getting more comfortable. Love is getting more comfortable at recognizing what the defense is presenting and making those adjustments at the line of scrimmage too.
I think he's an incredible, intelligent quarterback that can. You're like you said, you're seeing it a lot more when he goes up to that line. He's got control, and he's calm. Yeah, you never really see like a sense of rushing, even when the clock's ticking down. He walks up there, he recognizes and goes, and I think that's half the thing with like those fadeaway passes. It almost just looks like he's out there just playing on the field.
Playing basketball.
Yeah, we're just playing out on the playground with his friends and just like tossing them up for him. So I think his demeanor is huge in that team and just keeps him. It's like they used to call Joe Montana Joe Cool because he came into the huddle and was always just even keel.
Hey, is that John Candy?
Yeah, exactly. I think Jordan Love's just kind of like that. He's just like walks in there. The guys know what he's focused on the job. He's going to get too high, he's going to get too low, and just gets it done on the field.
Yeah, and, leaders don't lead all the same way, right? Some respond to the vocal and yelling and whatever. Some respond or some lead different ways. You can lead different ways. And kind of like what you were saying, I think it's pretty evident that this offense, this team responds to that type of leadership.
Yeah, I think those guys to a T love Jordan Love. Yeah, sounds weird. I could have said it better, but like they admire what he does out there, and you never hear a bad word said. No. Not on both sides of the ball. The defense.
Rashawn Gary always talks about Jordan Love.
Yeah,
like just that pure, love for. I can't think of another word.
Admiration.
Admiration. There you go. So,
and we didn't touch on it, but Keyshawn Nixon coming up with that interception. It was funny to hear the guys like, oh, it's about time he catches one. But, man, oh, man, Keyshawn was fired up in
I can imagine.
Post-game. There was if anybody who got him, there's probably about 50% of that stuff you're not going to be able to use.
Mm-hmm.
It was a spicy locker room in that regard. These guys were having a lot of fun, but there was a lot of spicy language being thrown around by all these guys. But I think it was one of those, like, after you just an exhale after such a grueling game, especially that defense in that second half being on the field as much as they were.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to get that play, especially for Keyshawn, who's been kind of much maligned, got the penalty early in the game. That
two of them on the one same drive. So yeah.
So it's like, okay, he had those, but came up clutch when they needed to. I think that defense, again, for the amount of they were on the field, did all they could do and kept them, kept the vice at least tight enough to get the victory there.
Yep, I agree.